So I've been enjoying using my Kobra 3 printer, so much so that I bought the Ace attachment to go with it as well. Now in hindsight, it would have been better to get them both together, but I didn't. So moving on, it's a pretty simple add-on to put together. If you follow instructions, some cables go here, some go there, you get it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been using it without the Ace attachment and I've been able to use it just fine. There were some interesting things that made me want to get the add-on. It acts as a dryer to keep your filament moisture free, which is important to minimize errors or imperfections in a print. But since I wasn't doing anything too detailed or too small, it didn't really have much of an effect on me. Now before I move on, I will note, I was having an issue where it seemed like a certain color wasn't printing. I switched it to a different position, opened the printer head, which was pretty simple because Anycubic's website pretty much had a step-by-step method on how to disassemble and reassemble. Now to make a short story shorter, a buddy told me to check the diameter of the filament itself. I cut about half a foot's worth and it started printing just fine after that. Now here's some of the things that I like about the Ace. The first is the obvious. I can use multiple spools at once and I can pick the ways I want to use them. I could print something in color, or I could start printing on one spool and set it to shift to another one of the same color once it's empty. Having multiple spools means I don't have to worry about replacing a single one, and as I had it before, I also like the heater function as well, but I will note I don't typically print things small enough to require a ton of details. Here are a few things I don't like. The electrician in me absolutely hates seeing the number of visible wires and tubes that are left to their own devices around my printing table. It wouldn't bother a normal person probably, but the lack of cleanliness or cable management really does burn a hole in my retinas. Now, I'm eventually going to buy some cable tubes to at least clean some things up here and there. Another thing I'm not a huge fan of is the amount of waste that you produce every time you print something in color. I mean, that's just the way it is with any printer, and while some produce less, it's just a problem you're going to have to deal with when you print in color. I will note, you're going to get some waste if you start a new print, even if the last one used was the same color. But since I've been enjoying painting, the amount of waste produced isn't a huge problem going forward. Overall, I gotta say, it's a pretty nice add-on to have. The Anycubic slicer provides multiple options to control how you want to print your file. You can add color under the software, and that color is going to turn out on your print. Now, to show off some of the results, this toothless started off just fine, but this is when I noticed I had the jam spool, and it was already too late for this one. Toothless 2.0, however, looks really good. Even though I had to substitute a color for the tail, I'm still happy how it came out. The eyes, the tail, the body, I couldn't find any notable defects on any of them right off the bat. But I will show off that this is how much waste material this one print produced. I was also to use Anycubic's software to print out this little mermaid piece by piece. By splitting it in two and printing it in two different colors, I was able to save much of the black filament that I was already running low on. One thing I will note, since it's a smaller, more detailed piece, I should have looked into a thinner nozzle, but again, I didn't. So instead I blew it up to see if I can get some more details off of it. I'll say the bigger model does look a lot better. I enjoy having control of which colors used, as it lets me manage how many spools are still left inside the Ace. And since the filament is limited, that's always a plus. At the end of this video, I will say if I could do it again, I probably would have liked to get them both at the same time. But it is what it be. The drying function is nice. The ability to control 4 spools at once is the biggest selling point to me as a hobbyist. It's not essential, but if you're thinking about getting it, buy it as a bundle. I promise it's cheaper to do so online, at least currently. When you use the Anycubic's PLA, the Ace model is pretty good at detecting which color you're using, and you can set the color for yourself or it can automatically detect it. Although sometimes there are hiccups and you might have to manually set it, but it's simple enough to do. Overall, I have no complaints, and I'm happy with what I got. Even though the lack of cable tightness kinda bothers me, it's not a huge deal. Either way, if you stayed until the end, thanks for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Who knows, maybe we'll print something that we can use on our mountain bikes. Thankfully for me, I have what's known as the assistant manager sitting there watching everything I do. Ain't that right, buddy? Buddy? Yep, he is judging.